Hello, YouTube and X. It's your main man, BTM here, bringing you back to the BTM Crypto News Network. So thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and to super chat. But today we're talking about the XRP ETF activity is heating up, and XRP, the pump's coming. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and let's get to it. So this is the sponsor. Let me see. Shout out to Caleb and Brown. Let's turn on the spotlight and see what we can see. So shout out to Caleb and Brown. Caleb and Brown is a crypto brokerage, and they do self-custody crypto. So if you're new to crypto and looking to get in, you can try Caleb and Brown. Caleb and Brown also gives you 24/7 support and also lets you work with their one-on-one broker. They actually give you a broker to help you along your crypto journey by adding information and also advice, right? Your broker can kind of help you through what you want for crypto and what you're looking for. But as always, let's check out the bubbles and get to it. So this is the crypto bubbles on this Martin Luther King holiday. And you can see does not look to be a lot of activity in the crypto market. As you can see, there's a lot of red, and there's actually a few things that are up, but most of the things have pulled back from the initial pump. So let's see here. Let me know who's in the live. Go ahead and give your shout outs. We'll start looking at that in a second. But let's go to the bubbles. On the bubbles, looks like Quant is up 1.8. SQD is up 2%. Safe's up 2.2. And Bear is up 3.2. So World Mobile Tokens down 6.6. Flux is down 11. Casp is down 3.6. Filecoin is down 10.6. Render's down 6.6. Osmosis is down 5.2. Jasmine is down 5.6. Telegram's down 4. Telecoin actually is down 4.6. Sui's down 11. Swarms is down 17. POW is down 21. So if you're looking to get in, today would be a good day. Ondo's down 5.6. Jupiter's down 8.4. AIZ BT is down 10. Dash is down 7.6. Pip's down 6.6. Metal is down 5.2. And just a Stronghold is down 2%. Satoshi's is down 10. Poly is down 7.4. Litecoin's down 7. TON is down 7.7. Link's down 6.3. Aerojones is down 7.2. ICP is down 3.7. Algorand is down 5.4. FET is down 10%. Prime is down 8. Gala is down 11. ZK is down 9.5. Arbitron's down 11. Ordinai's down 14. Alchemy Pay is down 6.7. Cron's down 6.3. Zcash is down 5.2. XLM is down 10.6. Tao's down 7.5. Cubic is down 4.1. Gala's down 11. OKB's down 4.2. Monero's actually up 1.1. So let's look at the big boys. So top 10, Bitcoin is at 93,000, down 2.3 on the day, down 0.1 on the hour, down up 1.8 on the week, up 5.4 on the month, down 8.1 on the year. Lithium is down 2.9. Ethereum is down 3.7 on the day, 0.1 on the hour, up 3.6 on the week, down 7.7, or up 7.7 on the month, down 0.1 on the year, 3,214. Solana is down 7.5 on the day, 0.2 on the hour, 3.5 on the week, still up 6.2 on the month, and down 46.6 on the year to $134.39. Zibic is up 1.6 on the hour, down 1% on the day, up 21% on the week, up 14.2 on the month, and up 317 on the year. Current is 00338. And I'm looking for World Mobile Token is down 3.7 on the day, 0.7 on the hour. A World Liberty Financial, sorry. For the week, it's down 2.1. For the month, it is up 21.3. And XRP, the payroll cross-border payment processor of the future, is down 2.7 on the day, 2.6 on the week, up 3.2 on the month, down 0.3 on the hour, and currently is down 32.4 on the year at $2 even. So let's check out the Twitter page, and this is the BTM Crypto News Network. Make sure you joined to stay current on crypto news and crypto updates. So this is a Zibic at Davos. Actually today through Wednesday, the 19th through the 21st. I'm going to bring up that calendar. Yeah, today through Wednesday. So this is the BTM Crypto News Network, the live stream. Make sure you share that, get the word out. So, breaking news, New York Stock Exchange to support 24/7 trading, tokenized stocks, and blockchain settlement. The New York Stock Exchange is building a platform to trade tokenized U.S. stocks and ETFs with on-chain settlement, stablecoin funding, allowing 24/7 trading, instant settlement, and fractional share access. Just like crypto markets, investors will get their own ownership, dividends, and voting rights. Only the structure moves to blockchain. Infrastructure moves to blockchain. New York Stock Exchange is also working on a BYN and Citi to move tokenized money to collateral on chain. This is Wall Street adopting the crypto rails, not crypto adopting to Wall Street. So that's pretty big for ETFs, especially the XRP ETF, since they're pushing anyway, but you'll be able to use your XRP ETFs on 24/7 trading. So I think there will be more ETFs to follow. There's a Bitcoin ETF. I was cleaning up earlier, so just trying to wipe some of that sweat off. So there's a Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum, XRP, and more ETFs I'm sure are on the way if they are getting tokenized. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. So this is massive. Ripple stablecoin RLUSD just saw 129% surge in 24-hour volume, raising activity in the Ethereum ecosystem, positive sentiment for XRP. This is XRP's new Quantum Shield trailer has been released. So let's check.
indication of more institutions coming into the crypto asset market.
Davos is the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. Brad, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to get your take on the impact of this ETF approval. What have you seen?
Well, I think it's a very big deal, in large part because I think it's further validation from institutions and even in this case, a government entity where, the crypto has been on kind of the outskirts, I think, and increasingly you're seeing that come into the mainstream. And so I think it's a validation. I think it's further indication of more institutions coming into the crypto asset market.
And Ripple enables global financial institutions. Take us through that. How?
So Ripple at its core, we sell blockchain technologies and solutions to enterprises. We focus primarily on financial institutions. We started with a payments solution to settle cross-border settlements for banks, for PSPs. Typically, cross-border payments have been slow. They've been expensive. Using these technologies, we can dramatically reduce the cost and increase the speed and efficiency.
And now you're seeing financial services institutions try to get their own strategy with regard to blockchain underway. How has that changed the dynamic for Ripple?
Well, I think anytime you have a new technology, it's nascent, and although crypto has kind of been around for 10 or almost 12 years, let's say, it's still
Brad Garlinghouse. Brad,
and even in this case, a government entity where, the crypto has been on kind of the outskirts, I think, and increasingly you're seeing that come into the mainstream. And so I think it's a validation. I think it's further indication of more institutions coming into the crypto asset market.
And Ripple enables global financial institutions. Take us through that. How?
So Ripple at its core, we sell blockchain technologies and solutions to enterprises. We focus primarily on financial institutions. We started with a payments solution to settle cross-border settlements for banks, for PSPs. Typically, cross-border payments have been slow. They've been expensive. Using these technologies, we can dramatically reduce the cost and increase the speed and efficiency.
And now you're seeing financial services institutions try to get their own strategy with regard to blockchain underway. How has that changed the dynamic for Ripple?
Well, I think anytime you have a new technology, it's nascent, and although crypto has kind of been around for 10 or almost 12 years, let's say, it's still new. And I think you have a lot of large organizations, even JP Morgan, despite Jamie Dimon's comments about how he thinks about crypto, they're investing heavily in blockchain technologies. Now, that being said, I think in order for blockchain to thrive and for the largest population to benefit from these technologies, you can't have insular closed networks. Like the whole point, it's kind of like the internet. The internet opened up networks. You had AOL and CompuServe and Prodigy. Along comes the internet to create interoperability. Crypto does that and can do that across many banks and to provide dramatic improvements to how we think about money movement and really any transaction.
And with any new technology, I question whether or not those writing the laws around the regulation framework really understand the technology. Now, recently, you called the Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler a, quote, political liability to the United States. You said he's acting in the interests of citizenry or the long-term growth of the economy, that he's not acting on behalf of customers and users. Tell us more.
Well, look, I think Gary Gensler has prioritized hiring more lawyers to litigate the industry. And this is often described as, or kind of regulation through enforcement. If we just took the time to codify rules of the road, most of the industry in crypto wants to follow the rules of the road. Countries around the world have leaned in. Even the European Union, 27 countries in the European Union have come together to create a construct for how crypto should be regulated. In the United States, we haven't done this work. I jokingly suggested maybe what we should just do is type into ChatGPT, how should the U.S. That's more than the U.S. SEC has done. And it's frustrating. And I think, even, I guess, yesterday, there was a court hearing between Coinbase and the SEC. And the judicial system continues to slap down the SEC because they're overreaching. They're overstepping what the laws say. It's the reason why they lost the case against Ripple. It's the reason why they lost the case against Grayscale. It's the reason why they were dragged kicking and screaming to have an ETF. Thus, as I was quoted, I think Gary Gensler hasn't been acting. He's been acting on almost his own agenda, not the people's agenda in the United States. I wish I had a clear answer to that. I think these are technologies that are here to stay. And the ETF approval is, I think, further indication of that. It's just frustrating that we're spending so much time in the judicial process to get clarity when we could do that, as many other countries like Japan, the UK, the UAE, Switzerland, here in Switzerland. These are not small economies. They're doing the work to provide that clarity. And in the US, I think it's become a political agenda, not a policy agenda.
From someone who studied this as many years as you have, what would be the proper framework on a regulatory environment that needs to be in place?
Well, I think the number one thing I think about is not about regulating the technology. It's about regulating the outcomes and the activity. Just because we have new technology, we should still care about things like KYC, know your customer. We should still care about anti-money laundering, AML. Those are principles that are, I think, sacrosanct. I think the US SEC has been trying to expand their remit to say, well, this new market, a $1.7 trillion market of crypto assets, is going to be under the remit of the SEC in the United States. The law does not support that. The CFTC is a much more natural regulator. And things people will say, well, what about FTX? And ironically, Gary Gensler was meeting with Sam Bankman-Fried repeatedly. FTX isn't about a crypto fraud. FTX is about a fraud. It happens to have been crypto, and it definitely was a self-inflicted wound for the industry. But one of the reasons I'm excited for what is ahead in 2024 is the headwinds of these self-inflicted wounds have largely abated.
Are you clear on who the regulators are? Because it seems like there are still questions, SEC, CFTC, or maybe everybody.
Well, in the U.S., there's still confusion, for sure. Outside of the U.S., and the reason why Ripple has continued to grow very quickly outside the U.S., 95% of our customers are non-U.S. financial institutions. 75% of our hiring last year was outside the United States because of this. But yet, if you go back to the earliest days of the internet, the U.S. did the work and provided clarity of how the internet would be regulated. And the internet today is, on a geopolitical basis, has benefited the United States more than any other country.
It's a great point. I want to get your take on what the CEO of Circle said. He says he sees a strong chance that the U.S. passes laws for stablecoin issues this year. Brad, tell us about the stablecoin and the potential looming regulation there.
So I think the regulation there is appropriate. I think it is the priority on Capitol Hill. I've spent a bunch of time in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Treasury, stable stablecoins, 95+% of the market of stablecoins is the US dollar stablecoin. You have Tether, you have USDC. And I think the US Treasury wants to see that those laws passed. And I think they will be pushing Congress to act. And I think that's good. That's forward progress. There are new dynamics of what stablecoins mean to financial kind of settlement. And so I think the CEO, Jeremy Allaire of Circle, is correct that that'll probably happen first half this year.
Piece in the Journal this morning on how China's crypto traders are evading the rules there. They write this: the success of the country's crypto traders in evading the rules shows how difficult it will be for regulators across the world, including the United States, to actually police this industry. Your reaction?
I think there are elements of that with any new technology. There's obviously the Great Firewall of China is something that has, people have sought to circumvent, evade within China for, probably a decade or two. I think, again, if you think about the activities that these technologies enable, KYC still matters, AML still matters. And ultimately, today, there are the off-ramps through typically exchanges like Coinbase that are very good actors, where I think you are able to enforce these kinds of regulations. That's part of the self-inflicted wound of a settlement with Binance, the largest exchange in the world, with the U.S. government, I think a few months ago.
Well, that settlement you just referred to, congratulations to you and to Grayscale. What does this mean for you in terms of new business opportunities now that that's behind?
Look, Ripple really thrived under the scrutiny of the SEC, but outside the United States. My hope is that now that there is at least clarity for Ripple that XRP is not a security, that opens up the U.S. market a little bit. The challenge, of course, is you still have U.S. regulators who are pretty hostile, right? The SEC continues their litigation, enforcement through litigation, and even the OCC has been pretty negative about crypto. My view is this is a technology, this is an asset class that is here to stay. We need to embrace it and understand that. And I think ultimately the U.S. typically gets it right. It just has taken a little while.
So what's the pushback for Jamie Dimon, who was on the program last week saying, look who's using crypto, terrorists, look who's using sex traffickers?
My reaction to that is terrorists and sex traffickers use cash. If you look on a percentage basis, I'm not trying to say that any new technology, bad actors can use any new tool. Bad actors will use AI. Bad actors will use crypto. I think there are a lot of very good actors in crypto who are doing the right thing. Ripple only works with regulated financial institutions. You can't have anonymous transactions using Ripple's technology. So, some of those things I think are good political talking points. They're not reality.
Yeah, well said. Brad, great to have you this morning.
Thank you.
So shout out to Brad for those updates. And like you said, Eric, he's talking about cryptos being used for illicit activities, but so is cash. And actually, like he said, XRP is regulated. You can't just use XRP for any kind of unregulated anything, right? You got to have a actual business proposal to use the XRP. So this is what up, Silver Days, BTM Crypto News Network, Vision Post, Fat Boy. Ouch, the XRP chart. Brad just needs to leave crypto his own 22% of the XRP supply. ZBC, and what up, Peter? Smash the like and subscribe. Thank you, Silver Days. This is Ripple launched a new commercial highlighting XRP payments, real estate, aim for massive $650 trillion global market. XRPL DeFi era is officially underway. Real Tokens is emerging as the leader for the DeFi project on the XRP ledger, opening the door for unprecedented $650 trillion global opportunity. Do your own research.
There's a moment when potential becomes reality, when an idea moves from a concept to a new standard. The world of finance is at that moment. For decades, it has been built on legacy systems, closed borders, and delays. But the digital age demands something more. It demands instant value, universal access, and a system without friction. This is the power of digital assets. This is the promise of blockchain. And it's all happening with Ripple. We're in New York City, in the financial capital of the world. And we're moving swell to the heart of it all to continue building the future of global finance. One that's faster, more efficient, and more inclusive for everyone. And we're not building it alone. We are working with the world's most influential financial institutions, regulators, and visionary leaders from across the globe. You are at the center of this transformation, the catalyst that makes it all real. Welcome to New York City and the 9th annual Swell.
It's weird. It's just a new commercial.
There's a moment when potential.
Why is why does it say 2025? Interesting. So this is the U.S. government agency CFCT partners with Ripple. We'll play this real quick as well.
If you needed more proof that Ripple was working, got you covered. It's just another Friday over here in the XRP family with the CFTC announcing a new pilot program with Ripple. The U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission is launching a pilot program to explore using stablecoins and other digital assets as collateral in financial markets. This initiative will involve a CEO forum with crypto firms like Ripple, Circle, Coinbase, and Crypto.com, as announced by acting chairman Carolyn Pham. The pilot will be focused on tokenized non-cash collateral, assessing the feasibility of using stablecoins in trading and clearing activities. And this is exactly why the XRP family is like the bear right here. Through all this market turbulence and chaos and the biggest liquidation event in the history of cryptocurrency, we're just here cooking and roasting our marshmallow, enjoying the show, because we have no doubt. We know we've been with the government. We know we've been with the banks. We know we've been with the institutions. And speaking of the banks, we actually just had Bank out of Switzerland commenting with their prediction that the SEC is going to voluntarily drop the SEC versus Ripple case. So it's not just Stuart Alderati from Ripple that thinks that the case is over and that the SEC is going to dismiss it, but we now have banks out of Switzerland that are talking about this case being over. And you have to tuck this one into the all the world's a stage file that Digital Asset Investor has, because how is it possible that we're partnering up with the government while the other, the other regulator, the SEC, is still trying to battle out a case with us? It's all a show. It's nothing but noise. The Ripple versus SEC case is over. And if you wait for the headlines to hit, you're going to be missing out on the massive gains that are going to be coming for XRP. Now, a full update's dropping on my YouTube. Make sure you guys check it out and have a fantastic weekend. If you need...
So shout out to Jack the Ripper as well. This is the morning coffee. We just watched XRP dip to $1.84 and bounce right back to $2. This kind of wick tells a story. I still believe we're in a drop, then a pop before the real movement begins. Volatility now is opportunity later. So let's see what Digital Outlook has to say real quick, and we'll keep pushing through X.
Now, guys, I gotta admit, that is not my first sip this morning. That is for sure. I was up early, but I was out doing some business and things like that, and having conversations and that over the Zoom there or whatever. And so, of course, didn't get out to do my coffee chat till a little later this morning. But guys, I want to give you my perspective on what I see in the marketplace now. Just last week, we were talking about, how we could see, a sudden drop. And we dropped down to, I think, $1.84. Now we have bounced back, guys, practically, as I'm recording this, back up to the $2. And just think about that. That wick, bang, all the way up there. I think we're at $1.99 something. But guys, I still believe that we will see, that wick fill, that it will go back down and be a drop and then a pop and big time. And we've got a lot of TA guys out there reading an article.
That was definitely enough to get you going. XRP's deep dive, bold move ahead. Snapshot between the 202 support and the 208 resistance. F50 at 2006. Brands $1.93 to $2.19. ETF Bitcoin 1 day 395 million, 5 days 515. AUM 92.7 billion as of 2026 January 16th. Ethereum 1 day 4 million, 5 days 190 million. AUM 13 million as of the 16th of January. XRP sits at $1.98 to $2.06, with the breakout guiding the path. Break the $2 point to the $2.09 to $2.13. Break less than 198 targets, 193 and 189. Forecast links down, while the view remains attentive to the upper and lower thresholds moving forward. US spot crypto XRP weekly flows. The 16th Bitcoin ETFs 142 billion. Ethereum ETFs 479 million. Solana ETFs 46.8 million. And XRP ETF 56.3 million. So let's look at some numbers real quick and come back to X. So I found this XRP radio radar. XRP radar, daily tracking of all 100 billion XRP Ripple escrow exchange holders, ETFs, DeFi, AA or AMM pools, tokenized RWA, and corporate treasuries. So this is xrpinsights.com. Total supply 100 billion. In escrow 34.19 billion, 34.2%. Circulating supply 65.81 billion, 65.8%. Exchanges 14.1 billion, 14.1%. ETFs and indexes 807.8 mil won, 0.808%. DeFi's 225.7 million, 0.226%. Tokenized RWA 402 million USD value, and the treasury is 520.9 million, 0.51%. And I never actually got that breakdown. That's weird. So XRP escrow is 34%. Retail wallets hold 20%. Whale cold storage is 19%. Exchanges is 14%. The founders still hold 5.2. Ripple operations 4.7. Lost is inaccessible 1.5. XRP index 0.081. Unclassified 0.75. Corporate treasuries 0.52. DeFi 0.23. And tokenized RWA 402 million. I'm trying to see what else is on here. What other information? Exchange holdings like Upbit, South Korea holds 5.28 billion, 37.2% at 10.8 billion. Binance has 2.38 billion, 16%. BitThumb has 1.84, 13%. Uphold has 1.6, 11%. Oh, wow. Uphold's like the fourth largest holder. BitBank, 4%, 571. CoinCheck, 3.9, 200 or 559 million. eToro, 475 million, 3%. Crypto.com, 359 million at 2.5%. Coin1, 293 at 2%. Flyer, 183 million at 1.3. Kraken, 0.8%, 119. Corbett, 117 at 0.8. Coinbase is 98 million at 0.7. I'm not going to go read all those numbers. This has the Canary Capital, 22%, Bitwise, 18%, Grayscale, 17%, Franklin Templeton, 17%, Tunkum, 14%, XRPX, the Offspray, 5%, and Bitwise Index, 3.4%. So on the DeFi, Flare has 85.5%. Sorry, 85.5 million XRP. Doppler holds 72.2 million. XRP native is 11.5 and Strobe is 2.5. This is actually a pretty good site. I might put this link in the description. Going back to, where is it? I thought I had the XRP is under $1. Hold on, I'm looking for something. Let me find, okay, the tracker. I thought I had the tracker open. And I didn't want to close crypto.com. So let me go back to Coinbase, Coin market, all the way wrong on this one. So currently the XRP price is $1.99, down 2.86%. Market cap is 121.4 billion, down 2.89%. 24-hour trading volume is 4.22 billion, up 232.5%. What? That's weird. Why is the price still down if it's up 232.5%? So let's check the XRP ETF terminal. So for Bitwise, we're looking at $23.23, up 0.95%. Closed at 7.62 million. I guess the market's not open, so this must be from Friday. Franklin Templeton, $22.61, down 0.31%, 2.94 million. Canary Capital, $22.14, up 0.96. Last session, 2.13 million. Grayscale's $40.29. I actually got the Grayscale early. Pretty good investment. You might want to check that out on the next dip. Not financial advice. This is just for entertainment purposes. Up 0.55% to 1.06 million. Rex Offspray, I picked this up too as soon as it came out. $17.08, up 1.18%. Last session, 477K. 21 shares is $20.27, up 0.54. 16,000 on the last session. Derivative market is Turcom. $11.79, up 1.64. Last session, 13.6 million. Volatility shares, $6.14, up 1.66. Last year, 12.36 million. Volatility shares, $11.99. Last session, 0.84, 6.34 million. Pro shares is $11.22, up 1.35. Last session, 2.68 million. Amplify, $23.28, up 0.94%. Last session, 273,000. So I guess we'll look at a couple of articles. XRP price prediction. Ripple XRP will be the next Amazon. Hold up. Over the past year, Ripple spent nearly $2.5 billion on blockchain and crypto-related acquisitions. These acquisitions could be created or used to create new XRP-based infrastructure for global financial systems. If Ripple does become the next Amazon, there's no guarantee the price of Ripple will soar. XRP investors are no strangers to hype, buzz, and speculation, so they're probably not at all surprised by a new investment thesis for crypto industry insider positions XRP as the next Amazon. This investment thesis is based on careful analysis of nearly 2.5 billion acquisitions made by Ripple, the company behind the XRP token. Over the past year, all these acquisitions seem to point to one conclusion. Ripple is rapidly building infrastructure for modern blockchain-based financial systems in which Ripple could play a major role. We're not talking about Amazon.com, the e-commerce site that's probably kind of for a big chunk of your holiday spending. Instead, we're talking about the Amazon Web Services, the cloud and infrastructure subsidiary of Amazon. This is where Amazon makes a big chunk of the money. So it perhaps no surprise that companies in other industries are looking to replicate the business model. According to Jake Clever, CEO of Digital Ascension Group, Ripple's acquisition spree last year was more important than most people realize. In fact, a fury of decision-making remains Reminds him a lot of the Amazon decision to launch the AWF in 2026. AWS, that is. From this perspective, Ripple's multi-billion-dollar deal-making helps to put into the pillars of the new financial infrastructure. XRP and Ripple, XRPL, the new stablecoin from Ripple, will help change the way transactions are settled around the world, and everything will flow through the XRP blockchain. And I think this is a quick, one of these got a quick video. I think this is it. We'll check this out as well. XRP expands blockchain research with 1.5 million in stablecoin grants.
Ripple's bringing academia on-chain. Its new advisory council, led by CTO David Schwartz and researchers from universities in Dublin, Luxembourg, Singapore, and Seoul, will focus on cutting-edge topics like zero-knowledge proofs, quantum security, and DeFi infrastructure on the XRP ledger. Meanwhile, the University of San Francisco's new XRPL hub will explore blockchain's role in public policy and civic innovation. With more than 60 partner universities worldwide and funding now delivered in its own stablecoin, Ripple isn't just supporting research. It's proving blockchain's real-world utility in the process.
So shout out to the daily DeFi. This is XRP's price slips below $2 despite ETF demand, a robust network. Spot XRP exchange traded funds, the ETFs, have continued to attract investors' interest, recording inflows every day of the last week as transactions surged to a 6-month high. Unfortunately, this positive fundamentals didn't help the bulls hold the price above the psychological $2 support level. How low can Ripple go? XRP under price exchange reserve surge. XRP extended its correction on Monday, dropping below $2 psychological level, making 6 consecutive days of declines. The sell-off extends across the crypto market, with Bitcoin falling to 92,000 and Ether pressing down support at the 3,000, triggered by U.S. President Trump's weekend threat of new tariffs on European countries over buying Greenland. More than 788.9 million in long positions were liquidated, with Bitcoin accounting for 224 million of total XRP, and saw 39.5 million in longs liquidated, the highest since November 2nd, 2025. Across the board, the total of 875 million was wiped out of the market in short and long positions, affecting around 250 traders, as shown in the figure below. Meanwhile, the demand for Ripple derivatives have remained weak, falling to 3.5 billion on Monday from its yearly high of $4.55 on January 6, representing 21.7% decline. Futures decline in the OI, that's weird, cloud company, a company price lowest as seen in October. XRP's price ignores ETF demand. On-chain activity, the 6-day price correction comes even as institutional sentiment remains relatively positive, as reflected in steady inflows into US-based XRP spot ETFs. According to data from SoSoValue, XRP ETFs added 1.12 million on Friday, bringing the cumulative inflows to 1.28 billion. The total assets to over 1.52 billion. The Franklin XRPZ was the only ETF with inflows on Friday, bringing the net to 285.7 million. As Cointelegraph reported, global XRP investments products are attached 69.5 million in inflows during the week ending in January 16th, signaling steady demand from institutions. XRP has also seen an increase in on-chain demand, invicted by the surge in transactions to a 6-month high last week. Data from XRP Scan shows the number of transactions executed on the XRP ledger soaring to 2.5 million on Wednesday, levels last seen in July 2025. Despite the robust network usage and persistent ETF demand, XRP prices underperformed, dropping 18.5% from its 8-week high of $2.41 reached on January 6. As Cointelegraph reported, stronger technical valuations and higher volumes across spot and derivative markets could be needed to confirm a breakout at higher levels. XRP must hold the $1.80. The XRP USD pair is currently testing the daily block around $1.96 level with strong support, according to data from Glassnode. The cost basis distribution heat map reveals that 1.78 billion XRP were bought around this level over the last 6 months. The next significant support sits at 1.87 and $1.80, where investors acquire approximately 1.84 billion XRP. So I guess we can check this out. Actually, we looked at this. So this is the top four cryptocurrencies that could be the next Bitcoin. So we have Ethereum here and XRP, Solana, and Cardano. XRP Ripple, fast, scalable, and bank ready. Ripple, with its digital asset XRP, has emerged as a leading candidate for global adoption and cross-border payments. Let's say UA crypto investor and founder of Moon Pursuit Capital said, "I think it could be the next Bitcoin because it beats Bitcoin in transaction speed, XRP settlement in 3 to 5 seconds, and only costs a fraction of a cent. In comparison, Bitcoin transactions take 10 to 60 minutes, and traditionally Swift transfers may be up to 5 days. Ripple's speed and low cost make it attractive for banks and financial institutions." That's what I was saying previously, right? It's cheap and it's fast. And banks are all about making money and doing cheaper transactions faster. So this is very appealing for XRP with these low prices, right? The low fees and the speed. If you can move money cheaper and faster, banks will be all over it. Over 300 institutions have already adopted Ripple's technology, highlighting growth influence in the financial sector. With on-demand liquidity ODL service, Ripple could potentially replace Swift as the global leader in money transfers by enabling rapid cross-border payments without the need for pre-funded accounts. And that's another thing. You don't have to put money in to move the XRP, to move your billions and millions of dollars. So you're crazy if you think these banks are not going to jump all over that like a fire sale. So looking at XRP currently we'll check out the 5-minute chart. 5-minute chart is showing flat around the 1.99. Let's slide this up a little bit. So the RSI is 30.5. Is going bought to overbought. RSI base moving average is 37. I'm trying to figure the graph out. 37.9. And the red is above the blue, so it's bearish. We're losing volume on the 5-minute. Over to the 15-minute. I'm just trying to pull the graph in a little bit here. Okay, there we go. So it makes sense. So it looks like we are coming down the 15-minute. RSI is 39.23. RSI base moving average is 53.7. And we're also losing volume on the 15-minute with the red above the blue. So it is bearish on the 45-minute. RSI is 47.21. RSI base moving average is 51.6. Looks like we're building volume on the 45-minute, and it is bullish. The blue is above the red. On the 2-hour, 2 hours also showing some steps down. Had a green candle earlier. RSI is 42.2, above the RSI base moving average at 35.7. We're building volume on the MAC, and the MAC showing it is bullish. The blue is above the red. Going over to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart is also showing couple red, couple blue. 4-hour chart showing the RSI is down 38.38 to the RSI base moving average, which is 39.18. And we are bearish on the 4-hour, and we're losing volume there. So let's go back over to X. So this is the XRP Intel priced at $2.01. 24-hour trading volume 58.1 million. ETF demand 37.2 million XRP per day. Supply pressure is moderate at 32.6. Benchmark countdown is 458 days. So this is the crypto ETF flows hit a new high last week at $1.42 billion in Bitcoin spot ETFs, the largest since October. Ethereum, XRP, and Solana and others saw positive inflows, highlighting renewed investor confidence in the crypto market. Told you guys, they're going to run it back, man. They're running it back. Just be patient. ETF flows. Crypto ETFs recorded inflows last week, led by the 1.4 billion spot. Crypto ETF expert surprises XRP will rise in 2026, but Bitcoin will fall below 70,000. Shut the front door, bro. Man, don't let that get out. XRP is back above $2. I guess it went down. Price paid dice on the numbers 1 DEX powered by magnetic XRPL. Double your XRP here. I don't know. Every time I tried it, it didn't work. So I'm not even clicking on that. Breaking news, XRP spot ETFs now hold over 807 million XRP locked. The entire market's going down, but the XRP accumulation hasn't stopped. 1.68 billion AUM with 7 active funds. This is a quiet accumulation during blood The market is distracted. Institutions aren't. I'm not fading this. Are you? We looked at this earlier. Daily volume 7.3 for Bitwise, 2.8 million for Franklin Templeton, Canaries at 2 million, Grayscale's at 1 million, Rex Osprey 455,000, 21 shares 59.6 thousand. XRP regains its course. ETF flows turn positive after a slight stumble. The market shows resilience in the face of initial fluctuations. I looked at that earlier. Did we look at this earlier? I think we did. Let me double check. Yeah, we did actually. I don't want to waste your time on that. So keeping it moving. XRP activity is heating up. Institutional money is moving. People don't understand what's happening. Ripple isn't moving into Wall Street. Wall Street is moving into Ripple. Prime broker, it's 13,000 banks, 12.5 trillion in corporate liquidity. XRP isn't being added to the system. It is replacing the liquidity layer beneath it. Okay. Interesting. And this is the intra-ledger enabling interoperability across the platforms. So money markets got Japan, not sure what this is, US, Britain, and China, all using the XRP ledger, blockchains, capital market, trade finance, Internet of Things, payment platforms, marketplace, and others. So there's Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, eBay, PayPal, Alipay, Apple Pay, Intel, Apple, Tesla. I think this is SAP, IBM, Oracle, Bloomberg, Calypso. I think that's Thomson Reuters. Can't see, it's kind of blurry here. But let me know what you guys think. And XRP is the chosen one. If you're holding XRP for $5 or $10 or generational wealth, we're going to go with generational wealth on that, Alex. ETF inflows, weekly capital. That's last week. Bitcoin 1.42 billion, Ethereum 479 million, XRP 56.8 million, Solana 46.8, Link 3 million, Litecoin. I think that ETF 2 million, and HBAR 1.46 million. And this was that tool we looked at earlier, the XRP radar. Track all 100 billion XRP Ripple escrow, exchange holding and ETFs, the DeFi pools, tokenized RWA, and corporate treasuries, updated daily. This is massive news. Brad Gensinghouse and President Trump will be present at the World Forum from January 19th to 23. This is huge, and XRP is clearly moving closer to global power with policy. That's weird. The Economic Forum's the same time as Davos, unless Davos is the same thing. XRP Bester meme. Daddy, why are we so rich? Because I bought more XRP when the SEC sued Ripple. Effing genius. And this is Ripple is on the main stage at Davos 2026, the world's largest institutions. This is what real adoption looks like. XRP has positioned itself at the center of the global finance. So let's see here. So U.S. House Davos, we got McKinsey Company, Microsoft, C3 AI, Pfizer, the Digital Chamber, Qualcomm, Ripple, with Honor, DCC, like there's MasterCard, Hedera, Merck, and Enterprise. So that's going to be interesting. And I guess that was it for X. So let's check out this video from Caesar real quick.
To start today this week, guys, XRP holders, yesterday we saw a bunch of liquidations. So I'm going to tell you the latest, what you need to know when it comes to Clarity. We got an update from Brian, but let me show you this, because when it comes to Greenland, when it comes to macro, when it comes to the crypto and the market, how everybody's reacting, we just got ourselves information. And I was waiting for someone to tell me it was actually official. And Fox, just a couple minutes ago, was talking about it. I'm like, oh, wow. And if you take a look at the comments, they're like, this cannot be. It's fake, right? But no. So I'm going to read it to you guys. I also have the liquidations over $500 million gone yesterday. Why? Well, take a look at that. From a little bit above $2 XRP, from a little bit above 95,000 Bitcoin, we came down under $2 XRP. You saw it. We watched it live. So if you were with me, thank you so much, guys. We'll keep you in the know with the latest. It was painful. A lot of people got liquidated, right? Obviously, but the other side of the coin is a lot of people made money if they were shorting. That's the other side of the story people don't like to say. Plus, guys, guess to what? We got Davos coming in this week. And may I remind you who are the two crypto companies that we like a lot in this channel? We got Ripple, and we got Hedera HBAR. You're seeing it right there on the screen. Ripple is one of the few sponsors for the upcoming event in Switzerland, Davos. So that's really cool. Kudos to Ripple. Kudos to Brad Garlinghouse. Really nice. So you can already tell it's so cool to have Ripple right there, right next to McKinsey and Microsoft and Pfizer and all of that. So we'll take a look at that one for sure, guys. Denmark, it's moving right down. There's a lot of things going on. And this is one of the latest things he said publicly, right? Now is the time. It will be done. Donald J. Trump wants Greenland. And let's go back to the first comment I told you. Where is it? It's right here. Take a look. This is actually for real. Like, President Trump has asked that the following message shared with the Prime Minister be forwarded to you, head of the government, state, whatever. Dear Ambassador, right? Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but cannot think about what is good and proper for the United States. Denmark cannot protect the land from Russia or China, and why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only a boat landed there with hundreds of years ago.
The main event of the week that exploded.
But we've had boats landing there. Also, I've done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. He wants it. Tell me in the comments what you think, guys. Drop a like, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm welcome. And I'm watching right there, because if you take a look at the comments, people are saying, obviously, this is
shout out to Architect TV, and you're right. I think the same thing, guys. They're holding it back so people can buy in it as much as they want before they shoot the price all the way up, right? They're just stalling like they have been stalling and continue to stall. Let's check Jake real quick and come back to Oscar.
Owning XRP in an ETF versus owning the coin itself. It looks like they're going to pass some regulation around in-kind contributions and redemptions, which is great. But I do think you have to contribute in kind to be able to redeem in kind. It's not yours. Somebody else owns it. You could still margin it, which would be good, be able to borrow against it. Some of the other people we're talking to get their way. There may be some type of distribution that you're paid off the ETFs. You're going to have to pay additional fees So, like with BlackRock, their fee on the Bitcoin ETF was an extra 25 basis points. So, not a ton. It doesn't track the asset exactly, but it's close. So, you're not going to get a direct reflection of the price appreciation or drops. It's a derivative of the underlying asset, even if it is spot. I guess you could look at it kind of similar to gold ETFs. Like, why do so many people want to own the physical asset versus an ETF? Because you have it, you can use it in whatever capacity you want. You're not reliant, there's no counterparty risk, on and on and on. It's insured by you, you're responsible for it. So those are kind of the considerations. And again, somebody might want to own it through a structured product because it's easier. You can invest in it with your 401k. But what are the programs?
So what do you think would be the easier, the ETF or actually getting the spot? Personally, I have both, but I suspect the spot might actually be worth more in the long term. But let me know what you think. And this is XRP going to $20. What?
The cryptocurrency community confirmed meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse at the World Economic Forum in Davos from January 1923, 2026. This is not just another meeting, it is a potential catalyst that could rewrite the rules of the game for the entire crypto industry. The Davos meeting is a logical continuation of the dialogue that began back on January 8, 2025, when Garlinghouse and Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderodi, joined a private dinner with Trump at his Mar-a-Lago residence. The Ripple CEO called the meeting a strong start to 2025, and the market reacted instantly with XRP growing 10-12%. Now, as Trump personally attends the WEF in Davos, attracting the attention of world leaders and business elite, his meeting with Garlinghouse takes on global significance. This is not just negotiations, it is a demonstration that cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies are becoming a central topic of the global economic agenda. Math behind the ambition. What lies behind the 20 figure? To understand the scale of this ambitious forecast, it is worth examining the numbers. Reaching 20 per XRP would require a market capitalization of 1.041.1 trillion. With the current circulating supply of 50 to 55 billion tokens, XRP would surpass Ethereum and become the second largest cryptocurrency, trailing only Bitcoin. For context, Bitcoin's market capitalization reached 1.91 trillion during peak periods, while Ethereum reached approximately 440 billion. XRP reaching the 1 trillion mark would require not just growth, but complete transformation of market structure. Expert predictions from conservative to revolutionary. The analytical community demonstrates a wide spectrum of opinions regarding XRP's prospects. Conservative scenario, probability 25-30%. Analysts at Investing Haven considered 20 technically possible, but requiring extreme assumptions and multi-year implementation pathways. They predict that without significant structural changes, XRP will not reach 20 before 2035. Base case scenario, probability 40-45%. Consensus forecasts across multiple platforms show a range of 2.71, 8.6 for 2026, with an average around 3.9. An options-based analysis by Jeff Anderson from STS Digital indicates a 25% probability of exceeding 2.4 and a 10 probability of exceeding 3.9 by the end of 2026. Bullish scenario, probability 15-20%. X-Force Global Expert, using Elliott Wave Theory, predicts a potential XRP surge to the 20-30 range in the current bull cycle. The analyst claims that XRP has entered the third wave, which is traditionally the strongest and longest, with an initial target around 16.3, and after correction a final push to 27. Cub, extreme scenario, probability 5-10%. Analyst XR Punky, based on a symmetrical triangle pattern from 2017, states 20 plus target for XRP is a given. It will happen by the end of this cycle. He notes that XRP could reach 20 as early as late August, early September, though if momentum slows, the cycle could extend to Q4 2025 or Q1 2026. As of mid-January 2026, XRP is trading in the 22.15 range, showing stability after correction from the all-time high of 3.65 reached in July 2025. Technical indicators point to critical levels, nearest support. C. 2.05, 2.1. The base level time high of range, showing the base level where the coin is forming a foundation for further growth. First resistance. 3.2. A key psychological barrier, overcoming which opens the way to 3.6 and above. Critical level. A four psychological mark that XRP must overcome to confirm the bullish scenario. X-Force Global Analyst notes that specifically, 4 is the main obstacle on the path to 20. Intermediate targets. 8. 10 the zone where XRP would reach a market capitalization comparable to Ethereum, requiring massive institutional adoption by investors, banks, and CBDCs. Elliott Wave Theory. Where are we? According to X-Force Global Analysis, XRP completed a 5-wave impulse from 0.37 to 2.4 plus, followed by a 3-wave correction to 1.5. The current structure indicates entry into the third wavia phase that historically brings the most powerful and prolonged movement. An alternative scenario suggests formation of a flat correction 1-2, followed by a powerful impulse. In both cases, analysts agree. We are very close to strong upward movement. There are no signals indicating deeper decline. How Trump changes the rules. The key catalyst for XRP was the complete transformation of the regulatory landscape in the U.S. After Trump came to power, the SEC terminated or suspended at least 12 cases against cryptocurrency companies, including Ripple. Democrats in the House of Representatives are outraged that the SEC has walked away from meritorious litigation, despite positive federal court decisions. Particular attention is drawn to a letter from Democratic representatives led by Maxine Waters, accusing the SEC that political connections may influence enforcement outcomes. Notably, the Binance case, where Changpeng Zhao received a pardon from Trump and Justin Sun invested $10 million in Trump family business WLFI tokens, is viewed as an example of potential conflict of interest. Trump has formed the most crypto-friendly administration in U.S. history, including appointments of Elon Musk and David Sachs, who plan to focus on cryptocurrencies and artificial intelligence. The Mar-a-Lago meeting discussed regulatory clarity and the future of blockchain technology. In his July 19, 2025 speech, Trump stated, "The technological foundation of the financial system is decades out of date. Payments and money transfers are expensive and take days or even weeks." These words virtually repeat Ripple's key thesis about the need to modernize payment infrastructure using XRP. What drives XRP? Ripple is actively expanding its U.S. presence, signing more deals in recent weeks of 2024 than in the previous 6 months, and posting 75% of job openings in America. The company launched the RLUSD stablecoin under regulatory oversight from New York DFS, and Ripple President Monica Long stated the token will appear on more exchanges in the near future. Ripple's payment operations have doubled transaction volume, potentially accelerating RLUSD adoption. Long also expects growth in spot XRP ETF applications and believes regulators may approve them faster than many expect. The Davos meeting occurs against a backdrop of global geopolitical events, military action in Venezuela, threats to seize Greenland, and the situation in the Middle East. Trump plans to announce the start of the second phase of the Gaza truce and discuss his economic plans, including tariffs and microchips. In this context, cryptocurrencies are viewed as instruments of financial sovereignty and technological leadership. Despite Trump's crypto-friendly rhetoric, Democrats are actively resisting the termination of SEC cases. Maxine Waters' letter demands explanations from the SEC about knowledge of Sun's connections to the People's Republic of China and individuals or organizations affiliated with the CCP. If political pressure intensifies, Ripple could find itself in the crosshairs again. X-Force Global analyst warns that after reaching 16.3 in the third wave, a correction to 6 in the fourth wave is possible before XRP begins forming the fifth wave to 27. This implies a potential 60% drop from peak values, which would wipe out margin traders' positions. Reaching 20 would require not just growth, but massive global adoption and significant institutional investment. If XRP reaches 20, but fails to maintain utility and demand, a massive sell-off could occur, dragging the price back down to current levels. According to cryptocurrency analysis tool CoinCodex, the probability of XRP reaching 20 by the end of 2026 is only 0.29%. This extremely low probability reflects the massive market cap required and the need for unprecedented adoption and investment inflow. The meeting between Trump and Garlinghouse in Davos symbolizes a fundamental shift from crypto persecution to potential integration into the global financial system. XRP stands at a crossroads. Either it becomes the foundation for a new payment infrastructure or remains just another speculative asset. For investors, the key is not to chase the 20 dream, but to assess risks realistically. As X-Force Global analyst notes, the 20 target is possible, but the path there will be volatile and uncertain. The Davos meeting may provide clarity, but the real work of adoption and implementation lies ahead. For the market, 2026 will be a defining year. If XRP can break through 3.2, then 4, the path to 20 becomes more tangible. But without fundamental adoption and regulatory clarity, even Trump's support may not be enough to sustain such astronomical growth. The 20 XRP prediction captures imagination, but prudent investors should focus on incremental milestones. 3.2, 4-8 each level requiring validation through adoption, regulation. Prudent investors should focus on market.
So that's actually a lot of information. So let me know what you guys think about all the information provided, and can XRP reach $20? Let me know what you think about that. And on the chat, Tavra has made millions off this nonsense. We're opposed to engage in a significant tariff war with European nations, which could potentially reduce the price of XRP by 40% in incoming weeks. Please remain realistic in your forecast. That's actually a pretty good point. Highly energy investment, high energy investments. It seems like every time we start to push forward, something happens, or there is a black swan event or an update that kind of sends us pulling back. And if he were to start the tariff war again, things are definitely going to slide back. So this is JWK show. XRP, BlackRock ETFs, and investors. Will play this real quick, and I'll be right back. Thanks for your updates. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know what you think. Will the Black Swan events happen and push crypto back down again? And do you think the tariffs are that Black Swan event? Or tariffs, not terror, tariffs. But I'll play this video and be right back.
Below. We have from CoinDesk, and that is, since everyone is talking about 2016, we have, you can see a meme going on of 2016 repeating in 2026. We have 117 2016. We can see, guys, back then we have Bitcoin at number 2 with a $5.7 billion market cap. Now, obviously, much bigger. In XRP, we can see, guys, trading at a fraction of a penny. 0.005266 with a $176 million market cap. So back then, XRP was extremely tiny, even though it was still a number 2 crypto. Guys, the market cap back then, overall, the crypto space was still very small. Very little people had knowledge on the Fourier Bitcoin cycles, how crypto market works, and so on. And so, guys, if you're involved in cryptocurrencies back in 2016, then you are indeed a veteran in the crypto space. And guys, imagine buying XRP at 0.005266. That would have been absolutely insane. But obviously, holding from $176 million market cap to a now $200 billion market cap is very hard to do. Now, we do have the next XRP price targets based on the 1% levels. We have the Fibonacci levels, and guys, with numerology, these levels don't lie. So we do have the next price targets being $8, $13, and $27. So definitely keep these price targets in mind. And we can see, guys, with a successful breakout, we are expecting XRP to push up even higher. And don't forget, we have from CZ that we could still see a crypto super cycle. CZ says Trump will do everything to make the stock market do well, expecting liquidity to spill over into crypto. And if stocks do well, it's usually good for crypto, he said, opening the door to a possible super cycle. And so with the S&P 500 making new all-time highs this month, guys, the rest of the year is looking very bullish, especially for cryptocurrencies as well. Eventually, we will see profits rotating from precious metals and stocks over to the crypto market. Right now, we do have some greed in the markets, and so in the stock market, so we could see some profit selling now and the money flowing down to crypto. I mean, the exact same thing going on. We have 2017 XRP run. We also have the 2025 price action as well. And it looks very similar to what we saw in 2017, right down to the flash crash. We have the RSI stochastic being oversold as well. So these are all indications of a big run coming in for XRP. You can see we also have the XRP chart pattern making the Mr. Pool tweets. There we go. And the exact same thing going on as well. So next up is clear. We should see the blue coming in next. And we had BlackRock clients purchasing $319 million worth of Bitcoin and 149 million of ETH in a single day. That is absolutely insane. That's a lot of money, a lot of volume, especially as we have XRP, the ETFs averaging around $30 million per day, and that's across 5 ETFs. Guys, in just one single BlackRock ETF, we have the ETF purchasing $319 million worth of Bitcoin. Imagine once we see BlackRock clients purchasing 300 million of XRP in a single day, that would be just absolutely freaking insane. Now we do have more FUD hit pieces from the 1%. We have from the Motley Fool warning XRP investors, Ripple's business growth and Ripple now adoption do not automatically boost demand for XRP, even though it does as more people use XRP. Ripple's business growth and Ripple Net's adoption do not automatically boost demand for XRP as banks can use the tech without the token. Now, that is not possible as the XRP ledger literally uses XRP. So we have more lies going on as well. And keep in mind that we have Ripple's business plan being a part of acquisitions. That's part of their big business plan. And so through acquisitions, we have thousands of banks, institutions all using XRP. So in fact, we do have Ripple's business growth also actually helping boost demand for XRP as institutions and banks have more access towards XRP. We do have a great response from Vincent Van Code. He has said, they know nothing. Think liquidity pools, auto bridging, patching, etc. XRP is a liquidity cache allowing cross-currency conversions. This is the problem it solves. And guys, to use the XRP ledger, guys, we have XRP being used as gas. So just more lies being spread, which is very harmful to people who are new to investing and new to XRP. And it seems like the banks are back to their old tricks, writing up hit pieces on XRP. It looks like they are very scared of XRP, especially when they're scared of stable coins as well, right? If you thought stable coins were a game changer, XRP is an even bigger game changer. And one of the biggest reasons why we know XRP is not a scam is because of the XRP insiders calling many predictions and many of them coming true. We also have Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, Monica Long, Chris Larson, or anyone else at Ripple directly telling us to buy XRP, right? Only scammers tell people to buy their crypto token, their project, etc. Right? We have Michael Saylor telling people to buy Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin is a scam. We have the beta test coin, and unfortunately, we can see a 51% attack on Bitcoin, meaning that someone could take over the network, the Bitcoin network, blockchain, such as China. If they control the majority of the hashing power, that is a real possibility. So Bitcoin is actually not decentralized. XRP Ledger is the most decentralized out there. And we do have a decode from BG123, a possible moon date. We can see we have boom after December, so January could possibly be a big month. We also have timestamp 129 and June 19 as well, which could also be 2026. So do we have BG123 telling us of a boom happening on January 2026? We will see. We also have boom as well, which is 21 and 26. So could we see big things happening on January 21 and January 26? We do have from the XRP insiders hinting at something happening overnight. We have from Mr. Poole, Crypto Maniac 101, Howard Moon 589 of possibly something happened to XRP's price overnight. And we also have the eclipses in the BG123 hats. We can see we have this one, 126, which is the first half moon. So with a major astrology event happening, we'll see if anything happens with XRP. And guys, this is mark the beginning of the XRP bull run on the 126 dates. We have 12 trillion Vanguard Group disclosing they bought 505 million worth of Bitcoin treasury company strategy MSTR shares for the first time. So this is bullish for the crypto markets since MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, they are a scam. Eventually they will collapse, just as we've seen with many stocks. The fact that we have Vanguard just entering into MicroStrategy now, this tells us that this is the very beginning of the bull run. As again, Vanguard wouldn't be investing into a scam company if it was the end of a bull run, the near of a market crash. And lastly, massive update from CME. We have CME plans to move crypto futures and options to 24/7 on-screen trading per its latest FAQ. So we have XRP being listed on CME Group. This means even more liquidity flowing into XRP. Very, very bullish. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed.
So that was a pretty interesting video as well. And we will leave out with Crypto Sensei about a quick listen. I need to go check on the dog real quick, and I'll be right back.
And Chainlink aren't here to gamble. They're here to build on what works. XLM is quietly becoming one of the most bank integrated networks in crypto, stablecoin pilots, open source wallets, yield products, real world asset infrastructure. The ecosystem is scaling under the radar. Traders want short-term hype. Institutions want long-term reliability. This isn't about today's price. It's about tomorrow's system. Zoom out, the XLM signal is there. And so here, take a look at this. Top 5 big news for Stellar. Record growth in smart contracts and developer activity. 700% Q3 smart contract activity. 37% more full-time developers. 5.4 billion in real world assets on Stellar on chain. Chainlink boosting tokenized finance and DeFi. Chainlink data feeds and across chain tools enable and accelerates real world asset tokenization. Positions Stellar for multi-billion-dollar real world asset network. Institutional bank integrations. US Bank Corp pilot for bank grade stablecoins. WisdomTree launches XLM backed ETP in Europe. Strengthens institutional adoption and compliance. And then Meridian 2025 conference, Meridian Pay open source smart wallet, USDY yield bearing stablecoin, tokenized real-world asset funds launched on Stellar. And of course, the growth. XLM spiked 17% on major news. Analysts see potential for medium to long-term growth. Institutional products increase liquidity and trust. You also have X-Ray protocol coming on January 22nd. What does this mean? X-Ray is an upgrade which adds native zero knowledge cryptography primitives so developers can build privacy preserving but still audible financial apps on Stellar. This is what we're seeing happen on the XRP ledger. Protocol 25 introduces two core building blocks on the base layer, BN254, a pairing friendly elliptic curve used to verify ZK snark proofs directly on chain. Poseidon and Poseidon 2 hash functions optimized for ZK circuits, making proofs cheaper and faster to verify. These are not full private transactions yet, but they are low-level tools that other protocols and apps can build and plug into to create confidential transfers, selective disclosure, and identity proofs. Why is it a big deal? The first native privacy step is the first time Stellar gets protocol level support for ZK, moving it from a fully transparent payments toward configurable confidential without bolting an external ZK system. Compliance-friendly design. The intent is a privacy and auditability thing, showing regulators only what they need without revealing full balances and counterparties. And then institutional use cases, banks, fintechs, DIDs, digital IDs, and identity projects can now design flows like prove age, income, credit score, prove on-chain payment, and comply with rules, or do confidential business-to-business payments with selective disclosure for auditors. And then what changes for Stellar strategically? Put Stellar in the programmable privacy lane alongside other ZK-enabled L1s with a payments and FI infra angle instead of pure anonymity like Zero Cash or Zcash or Monero. Strengthens the story for tokenized assets, CBDC pilots, and remittance platforms that need the same level of transaction security while keeping a verifiable public ledger. And because BN254 Poseidon are built in the same protocol, future smart contract layers and rollups or app chains on Stellar can use them without custom cryptography, which lowers devs' frictions and the cost. All right, we're also going to take a look at here in some comparison. Then I got some great videos here to show you on Stellar. And guys, we don't usually make Stellar content here, so if you're getting any value, please let me know and I can continue to make this. Liking the video and leaving a comment saying that, hey, Sensei, I want more of this would help me understand and be able to create more if that's what you guys want. Comparing XLM to XRP, if everyone always asks what's the difference, here are some good comparisons. Let's take a look here at XRP versus XLM. So institutional, we're going to look at XRP, institutional focus on banks and financial institutions. Stellar's more individual focus, people and small business. And then XRP, centralized oversight backed by Ripple. XLM this is decentralized network, community-driven validators. Centralized oversight, that's a stretch. Fast cross-border, 3 to 5 seconds. Low cost global transactions accessible for unbanked users. Deflationary token supply, 100 billion burned on every transaction, very small amount. Controlled inflation gradually reduced from 50 billion to 100 billion. So the tokenomics here, they decided to burn half the supply right from the get-go. And then RPCA consensus, unique node list for validation. SCP consensus, federated voting and security speed. For XRP, regulatory challenges, SEC lawsuit affecting US adoption, which is not here anymore. And then XLM, regulatory approval. Not really, right? You don't have regulation yet here in the United States. So having regulatory approval, that's pretty slim. I wonder whoever put this together is definitely an XLM maxi, but it's all good. All good. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk about it. And so here they're just listing kind of what was above here is kind of listed down here with a little bit more information. I'm not going to get into all of this because we kind of understand what the similarities are here, but I do think this clip is valuable. Crypto Erie posted this, so big shout out to her. Let me just go ahead and play this and get into it.
Jed co-founded both Ripple and the Stellar Development Foundation. And originally it was a fork, I think, for about 8 months, and then they rewrote the entire code base.
For even though Lumens is the native token, you aren't necessarily looking for all of these transactions to be, facilitated through the use of Lumens, that you're actually just as happy for them to use other stable coins. Tell me about that.
We sell lumens. The lumens were the assets that were provided to us at the outset of the creation of the foundation. We sell them on centralized exchanges. We make sure that folks understand that we do that. So we try really hard just to be as honest and transparent. But none of the revenue, all that revenue comes from, the revenue for the foundation comes from the sale of lumens. We try to keep it very small in terms of the amount that we sell. And we also then don't take in any other revenue from anywhere else. And what users who are sending value look for is a stable asset that they can leverage to make sure that they send and receive the same thing. So that's, we think that stable coins are the best. Blockchain is awesome at solving cross-border payments and just payments generally. I mean, we are building smart contracts into the network. That's going to feed liquidity into payments. That's going to happen later this year. We have an automated market maker in the network as well that folks can leverage from a wallet standpoint. You can have wallet interfaces there. There's also the DEX, and so those are leveraged for payments. We have 30 different stable coins that are issued on the network that are based on local currency that are one-to-one fiat backed. We think payments should be in stable coins. USDC Stellar is one of the big ones that lots of payments companies want to leverage, wallet providers want to leverage. So you can have wallets that are connected to Stellar, and very simply through an API with MoneyGram that MoneyGram has made available, working with us, you can then take your cash into a MoneyGram location and immediately convert it into your digital asset of USDC, and then do what you want with those assets, because your crypto, your wallet, your keys. And we had an over 500% year-on-year growth with respect to payments volume. And that's awesome, because that's what we want to see.
So Danelle Dixon came in, and she's really been leading the way for the entire Stellar development team. And without her, I think Stellar would have been in trouble. They have some great mind and talent, but they didn't have a leader, and she is definitely a leader. That's in my personal opinion. We'll also put this out, and then if you guys want to follow me on X, you can do that. We got about 65,900 followers on X. Not as great as here on YouTube, so I love you guys. You'll often hear that XRP and XLM are competitors. That's not quite right. They were built with two different priorities in mind. XRP targets high volume liquidity and institutional settlement at the enterprise level. XLM targets retail payments, remittances, and financial access. They're independent networks, not a shared system, but they do target different layers of global payments, which allows them to coexist without directly competing. Do you think global finance ends up needing multiple specialized rails like this, or dominant networks over time? Like, do you think it's going to be a group of a bunch of different networks, or just one network? And then Sammy did comment on my post here, says Stellar XLM targets both institutional and retail. So I appreciate him doing that. If you want to follow Sammy here, it does look like he makes some XLM content. I'll just give him a follow. Why not? And then he did highlight some of the really big connections with Stellar, and very impressive here. He got Ondo, Centrifuge, Near, Visa, Layer Zero, Forge, PayPal, MoneyGram, and a few others. And then, of course, here running on Stellar US Bank. So pretty impressive. We did talk about Janelle brought up some of the stable coins. We talked about Visa and Stripe. And of course, MasterCard has had some pilot and some work with them. Stellar enables instant low-cost global payments across 90 countries, powering cash to crypto, stablecoin remittances, and PayPal USD, and card settlements, Visa and Wirex, and reducing transfer costs by 70% in emerging markets. Stellar enables transparent direct aid delivery through partnerships with the UN agencies and NGOs, powering digital aid, on-chain payroll, and even national UBI programs, universal basic income programs, and reached underserved communities faster and more efficient. If there is a global emergency where something happens, right, whether it could be, something falling from the sky and causing damage, an earthquake, I mean, any kind of big natural disaster, or some type of, something that breaks out, getting money into that specific region of the world used to take days. Now you can use blockchain and get it there in seconds. And every minute, every second really does count. And Stellar has been definitely leading the way in this regard. And it's very impressive to see. And then, of course, asset tokenization, real world assets. Stellar hosts major tokenized real world assets from Franklin Templeton, Benji, Mercado, Bitcoin, Red Swan, Ondo Finance, Wisdom Tree, and Centrifuge, spanning tokenized money market funds, bonds, equities, real estate, and regulated yield products. Pretty impressive to see. And then, of course, Franklin Templeton and Stellar. Let me play this here for you.
The traditional way that we record a transaction, it cost us about $1 to do that. So for us to do 50,000 transactions on a traditional rail costs $50,000. 50,000 transactions that we've done on the Stellar network has cost us $120. So there is a huge cost saving, but then that cost saving also leads to efficiencies in the sense that you don't have to do the reconciliation of multiple ledgers. You don't have to remediate issues. Everyone gets the same information synchronously. Yeah, so it's a real cost that we can, identify the actual saving. And then these other benefits, we spend about 200 million a year on remediation and reconciliation. If we can move all the 1.7 trillion of our assets, currently we have about 500 million. If we can move that all onto blockchain, we will save $200 million, excluding the transaction costs, which will be, 0.0025 of what they are today. So on the
just showing you how cheaper it is when you move everything towards blockchain versus the traditional system. The real question becomes is what are banks and financial institutions going to actually do here now, right? You can't really go back and use this legacy systems that's so much more expensive when you could save hundreds of millions of dollars by going to these new blockchain systems. So what does that transition look like? How long does that transition take? And how much adoption, how much growth will networks like Stellar and the XRP Ledger actually see over the next 1 to 2 years? I think it's going to be astronomical. And here's just highlighting again, I mean, there's a lot of visuals here with some of the partnerships, and Wisdom Tree, that's a big one. European Commission, Brit Stripe, MasterCard, Van der Heit. I mean, so many, mind-boggling things here. 100 billion market cap, XLM's price, $3.57. 500 billion would be $17, and a $1 trillion market cap for Stellar would be $35.71. But let me just hear coin market cap. Stellar currently sits at 22 cents right now, guys. So $7 billion market cap opposed to an XRP market cap of about 125 billion. So lots of room for growth. Stellar community is alive and well. And I hope you guys enjoyed this difference, a different video. We talked about XRP and what's happening in the crypto market. Now we'll talk a little bit about Stellar. Talk about a little bit about HBAR. Let me know what you guys think. If you got value, please like, share, leave a comment. Let me know. I'll see you next one. Thank you. Aloha.
The Senate Banking Committee delaying a vote on legislation to structure the crypto market and digital assets, pushing the bill's timeline to February at least. This coming after pushback from the crypto industry over whether platforms should be paying interest or be able to pay interest on rewards on stablecoins. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong opposed the bill, saying it contains too many issues. Joining me now is the man himself, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. Brian, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And you tweeted out some of your concerns. You write this: after reviewing the Senate banking draft over the last 48 hours, Coinbase unfortunately can't support this bill as written. There are too many issues, including a de facto ban on tokenized securities, DeFi prohibitions, as well as erosion of the CFTC's authority, draft amendments that would kill rewards on stable coins. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. And first off, I just want to say that the Senate's been doing incredible work. Senator Tim Scott, Senator Lummis, the Banking and Ag committees.
I guess we overshot that as well. But I guess this is shutting it down. We got another ZBEC at 5:45. Gives me a couple minutes. So thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, let's get back to the money, guys, and stay dangerous. See you guys at 6 o'clock, give or take. But thanks for joining. Thanks for supporting the BTM Crypto News Network. And peace out, guys. Remember to stay dangerous, and let's get back to the money, guys. See you soon. Remember to tune in tomorrow. Same bad channel. Same bat time. But see you guys at let's just say 6 o'clock, just to keep it cool. I don't want to run over, but we'll be back at 6 o'clock for the ZBEC updates. Miners out.